up sometime between now and the end of 2013, given the history they both have at Survivor Series. For The Undertaker, it goes back as far as 1990. For Kane, it goes back as far as 1997. They both had impressive debuts at Survivor Series. Out of the two debuts, the most impressive one was The Undertaker because of how he dismantled over half of that year's Survivor Series team. Within a year of his arrival, he dominated the WWE and won his first championship in 1991 with Hulk Hogan, winning it back just a few weeks after losing the title to The Undertaker at the 1991 Tuesday in Texas event. And then following that, The Undertaker would go on to win multiple championships throughout his career, with seemingly the Intercontinental title and the U.S. Championship being the only championships that eluded The Undertaker throughout his entire career. Through The Undertaker's career, we've seen so many metamorphoses as we have Kane over the years, and I think that we have really lost out for a lot of incredible opportunities that we've had since The Undertaker and Kane's many metamorphoses through their careers. One huge opportunity we've lost out on is seeing Masked Kane versus Dead Man Undertaker at WrestleMania, and I for one have always believed that we will one time see The Undertaker and Kane face each other as Dead Man Undertaker and Masked Kane at WrestleMania, and I've always believed that we need to see it by at least WrestleMania 30 if these two are not going to team up in a 2-on-3 handicap match or a traditional tag team match for the tag team titles against the Shield or the Wyatt family. Right now, the obvious team for The Undertaker and Kane to face, if you're not going to go the route of having The Undertaker face Kane at WrestleMania 30 and possibly The Undertaker's final WrestleMania and WWE appearance in over 20 years, the obvious team to have The Undertaker and Kane face would be the Wyatt family. I was hoping to see The Undertaker return sometime between now and SummerSlam, and now with the next big event, the last big event of the year being Survivor Series, obviously The Undertaker and Kane will team up to face the Wyatt family or the Shield at Survivor Series. More than likely it'll be the Wyatt family either in a tag team match, or they could go the route of having a 5-on-5 Survivor Series tag team match with The Undertaker and Kane being on the fan favorite team and the Wyatt family being on the heel team for Survivor Series. But I really want to see something done with The Undertaker and Kane and the Wyatt family, with how unpredictable the Wyatt family have been every week on Raw. Sure, they've only ambushed mid-card talents and really haven't targeted any huge names since their arrival in the WWE coming over from NXT other than Kane, but I think The Undertaker and Kane facing the Wyatt family would bring a lot of unpredictableness to the entire WWE, just as much unpredictableness as the Wyatt family have brought with them since their arrival in the WWE. They were unpredictable on NXT, and they're even more unpredictable and dominant since coming over from NXT to Monday Night Raw. They need a challenge, and The Undertaker and Kane, if not Kane, in a one-on-one scenario with Ray Wyatt at SummerSlam, which is obviously what will be an Inferno match, which is something I'm looking forward to. The first Inferno match since 2006, and the very first Inferno match history-wise was between The Undertaker and Kane. Once that Inferno match is out of the way, we could see a return of The Undertaker to come back and assist Kane in this feud with the Wyatt family, which makes perfect sense. You can put off The Undertaker and Kane facing the Shield until at least WrestleMania 30, and if you have to, have the Shield keep the tag team titles until WrestleMania to make the tag team match with The Undertaker and Kane facing the Shield and possibly a 2-on-3 handicap match for both The Undertaker streak and the tag team titles be a match for The Undertaker to have at WrestleMania. And I think that would be awesome, seeing both The Undertaker and Kane have the responsibility on their shoulders of defending The Undertaker streak in the first 2-on-3 handicap match The Undertaker's ever been involved in at WrestleMania. He's only been involved in one handicap match at WrestleMania. That was against both the Big Show and Albert at WrestleMania 19. It was originally supposed to have been a tag team match with The Undertaker and Nathan Jones, who was released a few weeks after that match when Nathan Jones was taken out by the FBI. It was originally supposed to have been a tag team match with The Undertaker and Nathan Jones facing Albert and the Big Show, but it was changed into a handicap match. The Big Show and Albert really brought it to The Undertaker, but The Undertaker really had no problem retaliating and winning. That was the last time we saw The Undertaker in a handicap match or any precarious position at WrestleMania. Really, he has never really been threatened until recent years with this WrestleMania streak. So I think that this year at WrestleMania it will be kind of unique if you change it up and had a 2-on-3 handicap match with both The Undertaker and Kane having to defend The Undertaker streak. Either that or have The Undertaker and Kane go one-on-one with Dead Man Undertaker going up against the Masked Kane, the resurrected version of Kane. I think that would fit perfectly with the circumstances and venue for WrestleMania 30, be it that you have WrestleMania 30 taking place in one of its most colorful cities to date. It will be just awesome seeing The Undertaker and Kane go one-on-one for the Undertaker streak, and if not that, seeing The Undertaker and Kane teaming up. And if we don't see it by WrestleMania 30, we can see it before, Survivor Series, or even at the actual Survivor Series event. That is the obvious place that I can see The Undertaker and Kane teaming up, either at Survivor Series or WrestleMania 30. But when do you see The Undertaker and Kane's reunion happening? The last time we saw anything in the way of a reunion was for that six-man tag team match when the Shield teamed up against The Undertaker, Kane, and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan brought a lot to that six-man tag team match, but the only thing that turned me off about the six-man tag team match was that it wasn't the main event of Monday Night Raw. That was the only time you were going to have The Undertaker in action after WrestleMania 29. It should have been the main event for that Monday's Raw in the United Kingdom, and you should have had probably The Undertaker, Kane, and Daniel Bryan win one over the Shield. Having the Shield lose their first match to Daniel Bryan, Kane, and Randy Orton on an edition of SmackDown completely defeated the purpose of having the Shield undefeated for a number of months, and it completely defeats the purpose of The Undertaker and Kane even coming back to face the Shield, let's say, at WrestleMania 30. So the obvious team to have The Undertaker and Kane face would be the Wyatt family, with the Wyatt family being undefeated up until the time they face The Undertaker and Kane at an event like Survivor Series or WrestleMania 30. And I'm hoping either the Wyatts or the Shield have the tag team titles by the time this match happens, so you can have a scenario where The Undertaker's win streak goes up against the tag team titles, and The Undertaker and Kane team together for the first time since 2013 six-man tag team match. The only issue I had with that six-man tag team match was Daniel Bryan was fun to watch in the match. Don't take anything out of context that I'm saying about Daniel Bryan's involvement in this match. But the thing was, it was promoted as a Brothers of Destruction reunion, and that's what it should have been. You should have had two members of the Shield who were going to eventually win the tag team titles, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, teaming up against The Undertaker and Kane in a tag team match, and you could have had something else for Daniel Bryan to do that would have been beneficiary to him from a singles perspective on that United Kingdom tour. Did you really have to have Daniel Bryan involved in that match because he was a part of the tag team champions, Kane and Daniel Bryan, who were eventually going to go on to accept and lose the tag team titles to the Shield? I mean, it really made no sense to have Daniel Bryan involved in that match. I do believe that Daniel Bryan was entertaining in the match, but he really killed the idea of it being a reunion of the Brothers of Destruction. Technically, the last time we saw a reunion of the Brothers of Destruction was in 2012 as a part of Raw 1000, when The Undertaker and Kane dismantled 6 top new talented superstars. Jinder Mahal was one of them. I'll never forget the chants that "This is awesome" from the WWE fans. It was a video that I was consistently tweeting on our Twitter at JonathanClarke1. You can see it in its entirety, and I'll be throwing it up as a featured video at the bottom of our radio form and again on our Twitter archives for you to check out, because it was a moment in history that I really, really loved, and it's a moment that WWE have always gone back to, and they've always been throwing up articles recently of The Undertaker and Kane's history. More especially recently, they threw up an article of how both The Undertaker and Kane have worn masks specific times throughout their careers, so it really kind of teases the idea of either The Undertaker and Kane teaming up in a reunion match against either the Wyatts or the Shield, or going one-on-one at WrestleMania 30. And out of the possible scenarios that I've thrown your way as an answer to a question that's gone without an answer for the past couple of months, which scenario would you like to see The Undertaker and Kane's story path head in, either between now and Survivor Series and the culmination of 2014, or between now and WrestleMania 30? Would you like to see a tag team match where The Undertaker and Kane face the 3 members of the Shield in a 2-on-3 handicap match? Would you like to see a traditional tag team match where The Undertaker and Kane face the Shield for the tag team titles, where The Undertaker and Kane face the Wyatt family for the tag team titles, who will more than likely win the titles between now and WrestleMania 30 and possibly go undefeated to WrestleMania 30? Or would you like to go with my other prediction I've been making for the past couple of months, The Undertaker and Kane going one-on-one for The Undertaker's streak in what could possibly be The Undertaker's final appearance at WrestleMania? If they don't have The Undertaker's final appearance be at WrestleMania 30, the next time they will have The Undertaker possibly have his final appearance will be WrestleMania 40, which is 10 years away from now. And will The Undertaker still be able to compete 10 years from now? Is it to believe The Undertaker will compete until he's physically unable to do so? That could be too, but I really think the only time you have for The Undertaker to make his final appearance will be at either WrestleMania 30 or WrestleMania 35, and if not then, WrestleMania 40, which is 10 years away. I really want to see one of those scenarios play out in the way of the story path for WrestleMania 30. Preferably, The Undertaker and Kane going one-on-one is something that I've wanted to see for months, especially now that we have a chance of seeing Dead Man Undertaker going up against Masked Kane, the newly updated Masked Kane, which began airing on WWE television at the beginning of 2012. He made his premiere at the 2011 Slammy Awards during a match between Mark Henry and John Cena, which was an incredible match we recently saw for the WWE Championship. But having The Undertaker and Kane's match put off for as long as they put it off has really killed the idea of ever bringing back the Masked Kane. Having Kane feud with John Cena really killed the idea of this resurrected Kane and this new devil's favor demon thing that Kane's been doing for the past number of months since his reemergence in the WWE. If anything, they should have done it for WrestleMania 28 or 29. The Undertaker and Kane's match has always been being put off every year recently for WrestleMania, and it's believed in WWE's creative minds that having The Undertaker face someone other than Kane, someone like Shawn Michaels or Triple H, is a more effective way, even CM Punk, is a more effective way of putting over The Undertaker defending his streak at WrestleMania. I don't really believe that's the case. I think that it's just denying wrestling fans the opportunity of seeing The Undertaker and Kane go one-on-one. I've been a huge fan of Kane-Undertaker matches ever since WrestleMania 14 and their inaugural match at WrestleMania 14. I was even a fan of their other matches like Inferno matches, Buried Alive matches, and Hell in a Cell matches, even just one-on-one matches over who should be the undisputed number one contender for the WWE title. They had one undisputed number one contenders match in 1998 to determine who would face Steve Austin at the 1998 King of the Ring pay-per-view, and that led to The Undertaker facing Mick Foley in an unforgettable Hell in a Cell match. We have seen so many matches between The Undertaker and Kane over the years. We have seen so many incidents with The Undertaker and Kane over the years. The Undertaker was burned in a casket by his own brother. He was also left in a vegetative state by Kane in 2010 when Kane was on a desperate search to become the WWE's World Heavyweight Champion and held that championship for a total of over 5 months, which proved to be Kane's most dominant and lengthy reign as the world champion, contributing to so much history between The Undertaker and Kane. Even more history was examined in 2010 than had ever been examined before in the WWE. I just think wrestling fans have missed out on a tremendous opportunity of having The Undertaker facing Kane, especially fans of today's era of wrestling who have never really gotten a chance to see The Undertaker and Kane go one-on-one. Today's wrestling fans had a chance of seeing The Undertaker and Kane going one-on-one in 2010, and I think the reason why The Undertaker and Kane's feud was done in 2010 was for two reasons: to give wrestling fans the chance to see The Undertaker and Kane feud after hearing about it for years and years and years and seeing video footage of The Undertaker and Kane going one-on-one for one of the first times about WrestleMania 14, and it was done with the purpose of this being The Undertaker's final long-term feud on WWE television to kind of lay The Undertaker's character to rest after years of contributions and feuds with the likes of Shawn Michaels, the Great Khali, the Great Gonzalez, King Kong Bundy, Kevin Nash, many names The Undertaker's faced at WrestleMania over the years, which he's had more history at any other event in his WWE career than any other, and he's just had so much history over the years, so they tried to lay his character to rest. Now